right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are in the world, wherever you're tuning in from. I hope you're having a brilliant day and welcome back to the Polyhedra Show, my favorite time of the week. So today we've got a really exciting one. We're diving into the partnership between Polyhedra and Coinify, discussing scaling real-world payments. So we're going to explore how Coinify's powerful payment infrastructure is expanding utility, driving real-world adoption, and reinforcing Polyhedra's ecosystem through this strategic partnership. And joining me today, we've got Charlie Brooks from Polyhedra. How are you today, Charlie?
I'm doing well, man. How about you?
Very, very well. And we're joined by Nitin Arora from Coinify. How are you going today, Nitin?
Pretty good. Thanks for the intro, Anthony. Pleasure to be here today.
Great to have you here, man. So we've had just about 1,000 questions from our community for this one. So obviously a lot of interest and excitement about this. So guys, again, thanks for joining us. And let's dive right in. So
Let's get it.
Charlie, I might start with you, man. Give us a rundown about this partnership. You've very much been leading from the front on this one. So tell us about what makes this so great.
Yeah, sure. I can start off by giving like a top level rundown of our partnership with Coinify. So for the viewers who haven't been following our Twitter closely, Polyhedra has recently closed a listing agreement with Coinify, which is one of the leading payment processors and trading solution providers in the crypto space. What this means is that our ZKJ token, which is the native token of our recently launched layer one called the EXP chain, as well as the token that you're using to interact with Polyhedra's smart contracts on other blockchains, for example, to pay to use our zero knowledge cross-chain bridges. That token is now interoperable with Coinify as a payment method, which means that our users can use the ZKJ token to make purchases at places like the high-end clothing and accessory store Philip Line. This deal, of course, enormously benefits our huge audience base because they can now have increased utility for the ZKJ token, which as a cryptocurrency should obviously function seamlessly as a currency you can use to perform any kind of transaction, even when those kinds of transactions are performed outside of the traditional blockchain use cases, for example, at an online store. So Coinify is an obvious choice for this type of partnership because they're one of the leaders in the crypto payments and trading infrastructure space. Coinify is trusted by over 60,000 businesses across the globe, including partnerships on previous projects with household names like Balenciaga, the super famous luxury apparel brand, and Ledger, the most popular hardware wallet, otherwise known as like a cold wallet, cold crypto wallet among consumers. And I'll dive a little deeper into the relationship between Coinify and Ledger here because it's of particular interest to us. Because a lesser known thing about the Ledger wallet is that within the Ledger wallet app, which you download when you first get your Ledger wallet and you're setting it up, you download that on your device. There's a trading functionality which is built on top of Coinify's trade widget infrastructure, which allows you to both convert fiat directly into crypto and as well as swap cryptos. So this is more secure than a typical crypto exchange because the wallet app only needs to know your public key, which means that you never have to potentially compromise your private key, which is stored on your Ledger USB drive, by turning your wallet hot when you're accruing ZKJ tokens, because using the app, it can just send tokens directly to your public key. And through Coinify, we've agreed to listing the ZKJ token within the Ledger wallet app. And so this creates two significant advantages for Polyhedra over competitors of ours who haven't pursued these types of initiatives. The first is that we now have obviously an into a simple user interface to interact with our token, which is accessible to Ledger's 7 million some users, which means that a large number of people now have a simple UI with which to engage with us that they may not have previously had, which expands our reach. But the second and more significant advantage is that for those who choose to engage with our network, they can now do so with a higher level of security than they would have otherwise if the only way that they were able to easily engage with Polyhedra was through a hot wallet or a centralized exchange, which, as we've seen with the recent Bybit hack, as well as across both the entire history of crypto and legacy finance, puts your funds at risk. So to basically summarize, this partnership expands our reach to nearly 10 million new people. It increases the utility of our token in a practical way, and it provides a more secure pathway to engaging with our network for users, such that they don't have to feel that they're putting their funds at risk.
Awesome. Super exciting. Super exciting. I'm looking forward. I don't own any Balenciaga yet. Am I saying that correctly? Balenciaga? But maybe down the track. That's super cool. Thanks for the rundown there, Charlie. I'll pass it over to you, Nitin. Can you start with give us the foundation, the full run through? Charlie touched on some really epic points just there, but Coinify has been a leader in crypto payments for a long time. What makes you guys so great?
Yeah, thanks a lot. I think Charlie touched upon most of the points already, but I'll make sure to go over them as well. As Charlie explained, when you're a token issuer, you want two things for your token. You want utility and you want accessibility. By going into this partnership, Coinify is offering, a leader position for both of these things. In terms of accessibility, we make sure that we have our on-ramping solution where not only we have our own trade widget on our website, but we are also amongst, industry leaders such as Ledger, but also other wallets, Zengo, Trezor, but also exchanges, Gate.io. So we're in many places, and we allow users to come in with a credit card to purchase the token. Accessibility is a big thing. You want to remove frictions as much as possible when wanting to allow your users to get a token. And how do you do that? Well, let them use their credit cards, right? Make it as simple as possible. And so this is one of the things that the Coinify does. On the other side, as Charlie mentioned, we also have our payments piece where we allow merchants to accept crypto as means of payments from their users. And across both of these solutions that we have, we've done one thing from the get-go. We've been in this space for 10 years now, and what's always been most important for us is building a image around trust. Trust for both our merchants, but also our users. And we did that by having a compliance-first approach from day one, where we make sure that we're always adhering to all AML regulations, but also always getting all licenses we need to operate in the places where we do. So that's put us in a position today where, it's been a lot of hard work, but it puts us in a position where we now can service over 180 jurisdictions worldwide. Not only that trusted image we have built ourselves, but it's further strengthened by the partners that we have. I've touched upon the crypto partners we have, but we also have them in the traditional payment sector. So we are partnered with big names or PSPs like Nuvei that have chosen us as their go-to crypto payments provider, helping their millions of merchants tap into digital currencies. So at the end of the day, it allows users and merchants to utilize crypto in a way without worrying about risk, regulatory, nor volatility-wise. We handle everything on the back ends and making crypto as easy as traditional payments. And so in the context of that, just to add, in the context of that, it's obviously amazing to have someone like ZKJ as a new token that we can add there. I'm sure we'll touch more upon the exact partnership, but it's a very exciting time to be a part of, and very happy that we're getting this going.
Yeah, very, very cool on our end as well. I know that our community is definitely excited for this. Hence, so many questions and a lot of love coming through already on the line that I can see. But you've touched on a few points there. I'd like to drill down on a little bit. So 60,000 merchants, businesses, been operating for 10 years, 180 jurisdictions, did you say, worldwide?
Yes, over.
That's the scale of that's massive. What would you say is the distinction between you guys and other crypto payment providers? Why do you think you've been so successful at onboarding so many businesses?
I think part of the reason is what I just touched upon, is that image of trust that we have built. When traditional, let's say, online shops or merchants want to enter such a new space like crypto, for them, crypto, and for the mainstream masses in general, crypto is very, something they categorize as risky and full of scams. So if they enter that space, they would want to do so with someone where they can feel like they have a trusted partner on their side. And we have done a great job at building exactly that. And I think we can see that based on these numbers. We are the go-to provider for many businesses, but also many PSBs. They've all chosen us. And I think, across those 10 years, we must have done quite a bit right to get to this position.
Absolutely. Sounds like you've done a great job. Very, very cool. What I'd like to get back again, maybe just to the foundation of this partnership. So maybe for you, just quickly again, Nitin, but what does it take to get a token listed on Coinify? And maybe you can touch on, why ZKJ was such an important part of that piece as well.
Yeah, sure. I remember, Charlie, we talked about this in our initial call as well. And I mentioned, whenever we're looking into new tokens to get listed, there are some basic prerequisites you need to fulfill, such as, liquidity sourcing. But besides that, we put a lot of value on the project itself. So at the end of the day, us being that trusted partner of so many merchants and also big players, we don't want to flood our checkout window with numerous shitcoins, right? We want to have names on there that we align with, so that trusted image of ours can still remain with us, hopefully for a long time. So when we got into our initial talks, me and Charlie, it was very easy for us Coinify to tell that ZKJ is a token with strong fundamentals. The utility that you already have with it, also looking at the trading volumes, the liquidity you have, but then also it meeting our regulatory standards that we take, that we put a lot of importance on.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament, to the strength of both of our businesses, that we both sought each other out as partners. Obviously, Coinify knows millions of registered traders and is partnered with tens of thousands of businesses. But also on our side, to get these sorts of partnerships, Nitin made a good point, which is that you don't want to partner with shit coins or people who are going to cause issues to the businesses you're partnering with. They want to work with mature projects that already have expansive use cases, large sources of liquidity, people that they can trust. And so I think it's a testament to the trust that both businesses have built, that we've come together for this partnership.
Spot on.
Very, very cool, gentlemen. So I think, we've already drilled into a few things. Can understand why Coinify is a key player. Maybe we can expand a little bit about what this means for Polyhedra and ZKJ. I know you did touch on a few points there, Charlie. Maybe we can dive in a little bit. It's obviously such a massive win, and this was a priority for you. How does the listing reinforce ZKJ's role within Polyhedra's infrastructure?
Yes, so one of the points I made at the beginning is that a cryptocurrency most fundamentally is a currency. So obviously you're using it for blockchain use cases, and I gave a couple examples that since it's the native token of our layer 1, if you're performing any transactions on the EXP chain, you're paying those transaction fees in ZKJ. And of course, we also have smart contracts operating on the Solana, the Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum. And if you want to use some of the infrastructure we've built, for example, cross-chain bridges, you're also paying fees to use those cross-chain bridges in the ZKJ token. So those are examples of existing use cases for the ZKJ token. But if we have a significant number of people who are holding this token and already using it for transactions, I think it logically follows that you should be able to use that token for all sorts of transactions. So if I want to buy clothing online, there's no reason I shouldn't be able to press a button and pay with ZKJ. I shouldn't be limited to only using it for cross-chain bridges or to buy NFTs or to engage with some sort of DeFi project or something like that. And on top of that, there's this partnership with Ledger that's beneficial to us because it expands the reach of our business. More people can interact. Ledger has 7 million some users, which means that millions of people now have another user interface by which to engage with our token more easily. And so that's beneficial to us. But another reason it's beneficial to users is that if you want to buy tokens, let's say you're doing that on a centralized exchange, as we've seen with the recent hacks, we saw with the FTX collapse, you could lose your funds if you're purchasing a token and holding it on a centralized exchange, which is the whole point of crypto, is that it should be trustless and decentralized. So you don't have to worry that one point of failure means that, you lose all of your money. And so being able to work with Ledger means that you can purchase the token within their app. And it's sent directly to your public key, because the Ledger app only needs to know your public key. Your private key is stored securely on your Ledger USB drive, which is disconnected from the internet and therefore isn't susceptible to hacks or phishing or anything like that.
Awesome. And maybe one for both of you guys, but with this partnership, what kinds of businesses can benefit or use this token? Is it across the whole Coinify network? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think I can take this one. I think one of the main value add that our payment solution brings is that our merchants don't decide themselves which tokens they want to accept or not. Instead, they rely on us deciding on their behalf that we're only offering tokens that they would deem as trustworthy as well, and they would deem as being worth it, being shown within their checkout process. So with this trust that we get from these merchants, this means that all tokens we list get immediately rolled out to all of our merchants that are live. I think it's a great occasion that we have this live stream today, because coincidentally, today is also the day that the token has launched across our payment product, meaning all of our merchants now accept this token as means of payment. And you've mentioned before already, Charlie, Philippine is one of them, but we're also across many other. If there are gamers around here, you might be familiar with D-Market, some skins where we have a very wide presence that does offer crypto as means of payment, and ZKJ is now part of that.
Mm-hmm.
How exciting! Very, very cool. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are excited to hear that. You did mention a few different kind of categories there, Nitin. I know maybe you can't talk about all the businesses. What's some of the most exciting things? What's the most the coolest thing you've ever bought using crypto?
It's a good question. Me personally, I don't think I've gone too crazy. I know people hear the stories of early adopters of Bitcoin having paid tens of thousands of Bitcoin for pizza. I haven't done funky stuff like that, unfortunately. But there is. I've recently booked a trip to New York, which I did via a website that unfortunately not partner of ours, but we'll get there. That does offer crypto payments, so it's widely adopted more and more, and I think that might be one of the ones that is more on the irregular sides for me.
Yeah, this is sort of an aside that's kind of funny. I can't name a specific name, but I think Nitin and I are probably talking about the same travel site. It's actually also offered us a listing agreement, which I think again is evidence of both our team's hustle to expand the utility of our token, even outside of traditional blockchain use cases, where we're already doing enormous volume and providing a lot of utility. But also it's a testament to the trust of our business that we have people like this reaching out to us from all sorts of spaces, even people that Nitin just happened to randomly have brought up.
Yeah, very cool. I guess that touches on looking at what are the biggest wins here. I know you guys have said a few times, obviously it's a win on both sides, this partnership, beyond the utility. I think kind of what you're getting at there, as well as obviously we have a lot of ecosystem partners and a lot of great utility behind a lot of them. What do you guys see as kind of the biggest win, if you had to point it out, of this partnership?
Charlie, you want to take it away?
Yeah, Nitin can say from his side and talk a little bit more about Coinify, but I think I've already gone over this. I think the big benefits are the increase in practical utility. I feel strongly that you should be able to use crypto as a payment method wherever you go, just as ubiquitously as you're able to use your Visa or MasterCard. I think that's how we transition to a more crypto forward future. And then on top of that, I specifically touched on Ledger significantly, which, when you think about it, is like one part of this agreement. If Coinify is working with tens of thousands of businesses, but Ledger is the leading hardware wallet in the crypto space, and it is super secure and it's trusted by nearly 10 million people. This adds both accessibility of our token, but it also adds a security measure that, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of other projects that aren't as cutting edge as us and aren't making these creative kinds of partnerships and moves, they haven't gotten listed within the Ledger app, which means that our competitors aren't as secure as us. They're not as available as us. And so I think that's one of the things, or that's one of the reasons that Polyhedra has been doing so well, and that we're, I think, really getting ahead of the competition here.
Yeah, I can take it from our side. Adding ZKJ token to our ecosystem, I think all in all just strengthens our position as a leading crypto payment provider. First of all, of course, by expanding our asset base that we have with a token that we can identify with an innovative new asset, but of course also the new business opportunities that arise from a type of this partnership. You guys have a very forward-thinking community, and it positions us further to deepen relationships within the crypto space as well. I know our payments product, we often are more prone to work with more traditional businesses, but then partnerships like these allow us to also deepen our ties within the Web3 space and crypto space, and be part of communities like these, which is really cool.
Yeah, very cool. maybe my next flight, I've actually got to book one shortly to Australia. Maybe I can well, one day soon I'll be able to be using ZKJ. That'll be super, super cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, guys. Nitin, while we've got you, maybe we'll dive in a little bit. You've touched on before about like on and off ramping, and obviously that's one of the biggest challenges. Can you explain how Coinify solves that issue?
Yeah, sure. I touched on it a bit earlier already, but it's mainly the aspect of accessibility. So you want the token to be, for users to be able to purchase it. And of course, exchanges or DeFi is great places to get started on, because more of the, let's say, crypto native people, they will be on those platforms already and they don't have an issue getting the token then. The issue does arise, though, when you want the more, let's say, non-native crypto user to get on your token as well. Because for them, even just using something like Uniswap and having their own wallet and that connects, is a big thing, using decentralized exchanges, for example. And so we need to get rid of all the obstacles and hurdles they might be facing. And so on and off ramping, in the sense of allowing the user to just use their credit card or a bank transfer, is a really big step of reducing these obstacles that a user might face when they're trying to adopt crypto and they're trying to get into the crypto space. And so we allow to do that via our own website on coinify.com, but then also, like we've touched upon, across all of our partners, and now recently, especially with ZKJ, also via Ledger, how we mentioned.
Yeah, very cool. Obviously some alpha there with Ledger as well. And yeah, what you guys are doing, it's obviously super important, getting rid of a lot of that friction, because it is, it's the roadblock that is stopping the next real wave of adoption, right? I was reading something recently, just some facts and figures around that, which was quite interesting, about the future vision, I guess, for global financial inclusion. I mean, I think it was something like 1.5 billion people remain unbanked in the world, and then offering financial services without a traditional banking system is obviously such an opportunity there as well. So yeah, super, super exciting stuff. I guess we might pivot a little bit and look to the future as we're kind of on that narrative. At Coinify, are you guys planning to expand that functionality to more platforms and services? Is there anything in the works that you can share with us?
Of course, talking about future partnerships is always a tricky one, so I can definitely not reveal too much there. But what I can say for sure is that we're constantly expanding our presence, right? Within the crypto space, which we're doing with partnerships like with you guys, but then also within the traditional payment space when we're partnering with more PSPs, but then also with retail, with merchants themselves. Um, we're diving more and more into all sectors to make sure that we can drive crypto adoption as much as possible. Companies like Coinify in the end will be the bridge between traditional and the new finance that we have upcoming. So we take that very seriously, and we're constantly working on making sure that we drive this adoption.
Yeah, cool. Absolutely. Obviously, you work with a substantial amount of businesses, but I'd imagine. I mean, well, I'm sure that crypto payments are still relatively new for a lot of businesses. What would you say? Obviously, like the ease, and you've spoken to a few of these points, but what do you think is the biggest barrier that's stopping companies, or they have hesitation around? Is it the regulation and compliance piece? Like, what exactly is that?
Well, maybe I could jump in here before Nitin. I think one of the big barriers here is that the legacy infrastructure, which in many ways is much more complicated. When you think about when you're dealing with cash, and then you have to deposit in a bank, and then the banks have to shuffle it between each other and have it a whole accounting team. When you think about credit cards, you have to deal with like a security code and like a 15-character number, and you have to deal with this weird piece of plastic that has a metal coil that has to be scanned and swiping. In many ways, that's more complicated, but this infrastructure has already been built out, which is why most people resort to using typical payment infrastructure, using like their Visa or their MasterCard, even crypto holders, as opposed to using crypto to make payments. And I think that's one of the reasons that we were so excited about partnering with Coinify here, is because it's institutions like Coinify that are building out this very simple user interface and infrastructure for anybody to make a quick payment online or with their phone or whatever in 2 seconds using cryptocurrency. And so getting a partnership early on in the Web3 revolution towards people making that more ubiquitous and more available across online and in-person retailers means that our token is going to be it's going to bear that same sort of utilities like credit cards in the future.
Yeah, I can only agree with that. I can add some on top of that. Of course, it's a big aspect that we're still early on that adoption curve. Relatively speaking, of course, adoption has come a far way, but relatively speaking, in the wider scale. So I fully agree with that. But I think on top of that, what is the biggest barrier for more traditional companies is twofold. I think on the one side, it's a lack of education of the solution itself, but then it's also fear. So crypto for traditional businesses means oftentimes risk and volatility. I mentioned it earlier, the mainstream masses view it as something scammy and full of risk, and they're going to lose their money. But most of that is just a lack of education, because especially our solution allows businesses to accept crypto, but let Coinify handle dealing with the crypto itself. So we immediately convert that to fiat. We will always lock in a quote, make sure that the merchant itself will never have to worry about anything. And they, at the end of the day, still get their regular USD or whichever currency they want into their bank account. So I think oftentimes when they realize this, this is where we're able to take away their fear and allow them to, accept crypto without all the headaches around it, and still open up for this new segment of users.
Yeah, very cool. Obviously, you guys are very out in front with this stuff. Like, how long would you say, or would you think it's going to be before there is more of that general adoption? Before there is that fear around it, and honestly, it's kind of like there just isn't the full education there. There's still these perceptions in the broader market. With everything that's going on in tech, how quickly things are snowballing, how long do you think until we'll reach that breaking point where it'll get through that roof?
I think it could go much quicker than we can all expect. Like you said, there is a big snowballing effect. We see very traditional industries now jumping on the crypto train. They are, like we mentioned earlier, travel industries, but also, more regular e-commerce platforms. So let's say Shopify has plugins where we're also launching one very soon for crypto payments. So even the very standard non-tech savvy industries are now jumping on that train. And if that's already happening now, I could imagine that very soon we'll be able to do stuff like this also in person, in store, and crypto will be everywhere with much wider adoption. I think it could go very quick.
Mhm.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. I hope so too. I think I don't think we're far off, and the narrative is definitely changing in the general public. I think so. It's yeah, it's super exciting. Um, beyond, I guess beyond that, but in the same vein, you did talk to regulation and compliance. So maybe I'm sure there's a lot of viewers that they have they have merchant businesses, or they have family or friends. Maybe you can explain a little bit how you guys help businesses navigate that, and just give us a little bit more of an explanation.
Yeah, sure. It's rather straightforward. Coinify being licensed all over the globe means that with us, businesses find a partner that they can rely on when it comes to AML or regulations and compliance. So they don't really have to deal with any of that themselves. As we are the payment provider who's taking care of the payment itself, we do the conversions, we do everything. We're doing all money laundering checks. They found a partner in us then that can take care of all of that, and they can just be the ones who integrate Coinify as a means of payment in their platform and don't have to worry about anything else.
Easy, super easy. That's great. And in terms of regions, how long do you think until it's, you mentioned 180, which is quite substantial. How long do you think before, that is even starts to snowball, and it's like where, I guess you're falling behind if you don't.
Mm. So we are constantly expanding the regions that we support. There is a difference as well that I need to point out here. There is a difference between region supported based on where the merchant can be located
Mhm.
versus region supported where the payer can come from. So this is particularly relevant when you look at online shops where a shop might be based and headquartered somewhere, but its payers can be around the globe. When it comes to the payers, we support almost every jurisdiction that's out there. So the restriction is more regarding where the merchant is based. And there, of course, we're also constantly expanding. We're always looking at, where do we see the next big opportunity to enable a new jurisdiction? We're constantly looking into new licenses across the globe. So I think it's not far off to say that eventually we will cover it all.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
one
that
of
makes sense.
And I think that's one of the big things from a from Polyhedra's perspective, that is the benefit to our token holders now is that pretty much anywhere you are on the globe, you can engage with pretty much any of their businesses. So obviously, it's in Coinify's interest to be able to get permission to operate in any jurisdiction for the businesses. But from our token holders' perspective, anybody can already use this or can already accrue the value of this partnership.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thanks for clarifying that, clearing that up. So let's look at the future a little bit. What does the next year look like for this partnership, guys? I don't know. Eve Denver's on right now. Are we maybe our next event we co-host? We pay for the venue with ZKJ through Coinify. What's on the agenda?
Well, I mean, for me, I guess I'm excited. I think Anthony, you and I might be going out to Token 2049, maybe Bitcoin 2025 in Vegas too. So I think we're gonna have some fun out there, make some more business deals.
Get the ZKJ flowing, so to speak.
That makes a lot of sense. I think our end regarding this partnership in general, I think this is just the beginning. We've only started now, finished integrations. I think where I see the biggest upside for the next year, we're going to be looking at leveraging each other's networks, the partners that we do have, and see how we can expand, of course, ZKJ's token across our partners, but then at the same time us leveraging ZKJ to expand our presence in the crypto space.
Cool. It's all very, very exciting, guys. Obviously, a lot on the horizon. Everything's moving so quickly already this year. I can't believe it's, we're moving into March. Like, it's just been flying, but it's been busy. But yeah, definitely fun and exciting to be in the industry. We are getting on 40 minutes, so I did want to jump into some community questions. As I said, we have so many here. I actually tried to pull out a few that I thought would be like we might not touch on, but you guys have like just managed to touch on all of them, which is great. I know that we've already touched on the interesting purchases. Here's an interesting one. So, are there any industries, I mean, outside of the obvious ones, I guess name the obvious ones as well, but any industries in particular that where we're seeing faster adoption of crypto?
I think the main ones are the obvious ones, right? So we have a wide presence within the gaming space and digital marketplaces. So like video games marketplaces like CD Keys is one of them. But then we're also seeing a lot across the luxury segment. Besides that, one that might actually be less on the expected side of things, we see a lot of, we also have an invoicing solution where you don't necessarily need to integrate it as a checkout on a website, but you can also just, as a regular business, let's say you're a consultancy, you can also just issue an invoice that gets paid in crypto. We have a lot of consultancy companies that do exactly this. So they have, if you're a company based in the US, but you have someone in Southeast Asia who wants to pay you, well, it's a long way that it needs to go. Maybe even some different currencies are involved. So crypto and cross-border payments can be the way to go then. The invoicing solution then is a big, help for that. And so industries where you have a lot of those types of payments, which is, for example, consultancies, there we see a lot of, increase in adoption as well.
Cool. And if you were to, I know you did touch on this again, but if you were to just give one practical tip, say to businesses that are thinking about onboarding or adopting crypto payments, what would that tip be?
I think to keep it short, I think they
guys?
should get on that for sure. Anyways, especially me, I'm always happy to help out. But I think besides that, they should, try to get on the early mover advantage as quick as possible. We have done case studies in the past where we looked at, okay, what does it actually mean for a merchant to open up for crypto payments, and we see so many benefits for a merchant. One of those is that the merchant doesn't pay for the fees themselves, but then besides that, there is an increase in basket sizes and average order sizes. Crypto users like to spend money. They have a higher brand loyalty. So there are so many benefits to it. And I think for traditional businesses out there that are still hesitant in, deciding whether to do it or not, I would rather suggest just to try it out. They've got nothing to lose. With Coinify, especially being a trusted partner that they can rely on, I think they will very quickly realize the upsides they can get from it. And have a huge benefit to their brand as well.
Makes sense. Just sounds like a lot of wins, especially if you guys have removed a lot of the sticky points. So if you are a business or a merchant, how do they go about this? Just come to your website? Like, what's the process?
Exactly. So you can get on our website. We have a merchant section or a payment section on there. There's a form they can fill out. Our lovely SDRs will make sure to get back to you as quick as possible. Jump on an onboarding call. Hear about your specific needs, see how well that aligns with our solutions and how we can help you out in the best possible way. And then we'll make sure to get you onboarded as quick as possible.
Very, very cool, man. We've covered a lot of ground in this conversation so far. It's been an incredible conversation, guys. So thank you so much. Charlie, I'd like to just hear from you one more time and obviously you've got a lot of projects in the works, and this is a really, really exciting one that you put together. Obviously the ledger we've just talked about as well. Anything else in the pipeline? Or is it all under wraps?
No, we definitely have some big stuff in the pipeline. I don't think I can get into specifics there, but I mean, Anthony, you were sitting in with me on some of the meetings that we're having in Consensus Hong Kong. We have, 4 new listing offers just this week, co-marketing offers on our projects. So I think we've got some big stuff coming up for Polyhedra for sure. So people can look out for that.
Very, very cool. All right, guys. I'm literally looking through these questions, but I do think that we've nailed a lot of them. And yeah, we did definitely build this conversation around a lot of these questions for the community. So thank you so much again, guys. You always bring in the great questions. And yeah, I love doing this. And thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. If you're excited about what's happening here with Polyhedra and Coinify, make sure that you're following us for all the updates. We'll be definitely posting follow-ups and resources and recaps and any news about this partnership, and obviously all things awesome happening over at Coinify. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Nitin. Thank you, Charlie. It's been great.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, sounds
It was
good, man.
a pleasure to be on here today. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great
likewise. All right, guys. See you next time.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.